All right, we are back. Dynasty Trades in 5. I'm Clay.
I'm Shane.
Quack, quack. I'm Scott.
Quack, quack. Jaylen Waddle. That's who we're doing tonight. We've dropped his name a few times in shows. We should dedicate one to him, is what we decided. So I'm not in 74 leagues like you guys, but he tends to go, in the 110 to 112-ish range in rookie drafts this past year. And he's paying off, no? Shane, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made that he's this at worst wide receiver 2 of the class. If you really wanted to get bold, you could say he's the wide receiver 1 of the class, because unlike our friend Jamar Chase, he actually hasn't had a down week. And that's even without Joe Burrow. I mean, he's had, who was his quarterback? Jacoby Brissett. He's like a little baby Deontay Johnson, right? Like that's what he feels like. I do have a question on a trade though, and we'll come back to it later. He feels like a guy that if he isn't already all the rage, he's going to be that one of those guys that's everyone is in the off season talking about, oh, well, he's going to make the leap and going to be a top 12 wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a polarizing one because I think he kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I think people know that he popped right away. Like, you kind of knew you didn't have a bust right away. But then now you're seeing the market swell for him. I saw a thread the other day, top 12 receiver. Someone else commented top 12 dynasty startup asset. And I'm going like, okay, wait a second. Top 12 dynasty startup asset. I think they were referring to single quarterback still, but that's like the top 6 receiver, and I think we're kind of getting a little too far ahead of ourselves there. I mean, market share wise, even though he does have 100 plus targets already, only 23%. So I'm not trying to say that's not valuable. I mean, obviously, if you're going to get 23%, but that is 23% of 650 attempts, then you'll take that. Now, is that more volatile, though, year to year? Does this feel – I mean, I know Shane said Jarvis Landry. Deontay Johnson, I'm thinking Jarvis Landry. I think that's kind of there's a little bit of an in-between there. He's a better athlete than both those guys. But, I mean, Deontay Johnson's at 26%. So if you take that over a large sample size, to me, that more than 25% with a guy like Claypool, with Najee Harris, with Juju for a couple games. I mean, to me, that's a little bit more bankable than Jaylen Waddle. So, I think he's a wide receiver too, value-wise. I do think there's probably, I don't have the ADOT numbers in front of me, but I do think there's probably some meat on the bone left for him in terms of big plays too. So it's nice to see that he can command major volume. It's just can he mix in, a lot more efficiency along with, bigger chunk gains going forward. If so, then, the sky's the limit. But I think right now he's probably just in that huge, what's that ugly mix of the wide receiver 2s we talk about where it's like you could propose him for someone else straight up and you might get declined just because that person prefers the other guy. But I think that's where he's at.
So we just did a show on Pittman. Who do you like better, Michael Pittman or Jaylen Waddle?
Waddle.
Yeah, I'm taking Waddle.
Okay.
Easy.
And when we did the Pittman show, we said that we weren't going to give the 108 for Pittman. Would you give the 108 in this upcoming draft for Jaylen Waddle?
I think I would. Although I do want to bring up a point that, Scott was talking about his, basically that he has a lack of competition there, right? Just one other option in there. His fantasy points have dropped from 17.9 points a game to 11.5 with Parker in there. It's a pretty stark difference. And Parker, I don't think is anyone's idea of a true alpha.
Well, he's outside the top 30 in air yards. He's caught 77 of his 103 targets. So he has a pretty high catch rate compared to some other guys, which that's good. You want a guy that you can bank for, if I can go into a season and I'd say I can bank this guy for 150 targets and 100 catches, like that's super valuable. Tua is actually going down the road of being one of these quarterbacks that if he maintains the job there, that's to be determined. I actually think he's one of the guys that could be really good to like force feed one of these guys on a really efficient basis. So I think he's perfect for Waddle. So if there was a quarterback change, if it's a guy like Watson, then yeah, I'm going to be real excited about Waddle's, explosiveness, getting taken to another level. But there's just some red flags. There's things where you're like, okay, yeah, he's putting up great numbers, but yeah, how high do we put him?
Yep. What who would you rather have straight up in Dynasty, David Montgomery or Jaylen Waddle?
Waddle.
Waddle.
What about Joe Mixon or
Waddle.
Jaylen Waddle?
Waddle. Thinking Hollywood Brown or Waddle.
I'd take
Hollywood
Waddle
Brown.
over. You take Hollywood over Waddle, huh?
Yeah, Hollywood's proven me wrong, but proven to be someone that can be a wide receiver one.
But don't you think that's kind of an apt comparison? If Waddle can maybe adopt some of the stuff that Hollywood's done, because Hollywood has played one less game, but is on basically the same target and reception pace as Waddle is, and he has a lot more potential down the field too. So I think Hollywood's kind of like what you could get with Waddle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Would you give a late 22 first and 22 seconds for Jaylen Waddle?
Yeah.
Yes.
All day.
All day.
Yes.
Would you give a late 22 first and a 23 first and get back Waddle and a 23 second?
No, that 23 first is
first,
too sexy, and 2 first is it's like another level. Although I might give 2 first for Deontay Johnson. If push came to shove, I probably wouldn't, and that's his closest comparison to me right now. So maybe next year at this time I might be able to do that, willing to do that.
Let me throw one more out there. The hottest of running back names these days. Would you rather have Waddle in the 106 or Javonte Williams?
106 and Javonte. Oh wait,
I think you take Waddle in the pick. Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. Just because there's a really good chance that you get another Javonte Williams at the 106, and maybe he's not Javonte Williams, but that's a good process deal on top of it.